Creating the best possible schedule for yourself in college is probably one of the most overlooked things. Most people just tend to find all the classes that they want or need, sign up for them whenever they can, and then just go with the flow and deal with whatever schedule that comes from them. However, with a bit of planning and a few strategies I'm going to show you guys today, you can get the best of both worlds and get a schedule that won't make you hate your life in this semester and still get through the classes that you need. So yeah, welcome back to a new video, guys. My name is Shivan C. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Today we're going to be looking at a few things to keep in mind when building your schedule and how to make it the best for you, as well as a few examples of schedules that I have had in the past and how I sort of adjusted them to get to the best one for myself. Also, this video isn't going to go really over how to find classes and make a sample schedule and stuff like that, which, by the way, use Coursical to make sample schedules if you go to UNC, because you can find all of that information in my full registration guide video that I did last year. Connect Carolina hasn't really changed, so that should all still be up to date. The first thing that I'll say on this is have backups. So everything I'm going to go through in this video, don't just go through it once, go through it twice, and think of multiple options that could suffice. We all know how chaotic registration is, so even if this is your like 7th time going through it or your first time and you're entering freshman year of college, having backups is extremely important because you never know what you're not going to end up being able to sign up for. But yeah, so scheduling can pretty much be broken up into daily scheduling and weekly scheduling. Weekly scheduling is pretty much how your classes are laid out throughout the week. So there's really, I guess, two main routes that you can take with this. One being having it balanced, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday both have like 2 classes, or 2 on one and 3 on the other. Or you can make it completely lopsided and do like 1 or even 0 classes on one of those and then all of your classes on the other. So having like 4 classes back to back on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then just like 1 or 0 on Thursday, on Tuesday, Thursday, that kind of thing. And this one kind of comes down to personal preference. I usually choose to do sort of a hybrid where I'll try to find some Monday, Wednesday classes and Tuesday, Thursday, so I balance it pretty equally between those, and then try to leave just 1 or even 0 if possible classes on Friday so that I have a more chill end of the week. So definitely spend some time thinking about which one of those methods you prefer. If you do the lopsided method, then you're going to be super busy on the days where you have all your classes. You're probably not going to have very much free time to actually do work for any of those classes because you'll have other external commitments most likely. But then on the off days, you're going to have pretty much the entire day to do work. So if you're someone that is able to focus in like long durations and able to get a bunch of work done at once, then this might be for you. But if you're sort of more like me and you can really be productive in like shorter stints and you're better off getting more of a routine of having an equal amount of stuff to do per day, then make your schedule a bit more balanced. In terms of daily scheduling, this is where you really have to know yourself well. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You'd stack the morning and do like 2-3 classes in the morning from like say 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and have the rest of the day free. Or you could try to make it an all afternoon kind of thing, so your first class isn't until like 1, 2, or even 3 p.m. I did that once actually, mixed opinions on it, but it's mainly personal preference. Or you could space it out and do like a class at 10, then a class at 1, then a class at 3, something like that. So you have little gaps in between to either get food or do some work or just hang out or go back to your dorm or apartment or something like that. To figure out which one of these you want to do, first of all, obviously look at the classes that you want and that you need, and look at all of the different times offered for them. Try to build a few example schedules with each of them and see what your days are looking like. But more specifically, the first thing you should do is plan ahead all of your commitments that you already know. So I know this is like really hard to do in the summer because you probably have no idea when anything's going to be. Like, typically most extracurricular stuff happens on weekday evenings around like 6-7 p.m. So try to avoid classes that end after like 5:30ish, because then you might be cutting it too close to something that may end up being scheduled in those days. But if you do know the times that anything is going to be held next semester, definitely write those down just so you make sure that no classes either conflict it or are like right back to back with it. And what I meant by you need to know yourself well is that you need to be realistic and know when you get up and when you work the best. So some of you, that may actually be like 8 a.m., in which case that's awesome, like good for you. I couldn't do that. I got auto assigned to an 8 a.m. in my first semester freshman year. It was 3 days a week and it was painful, especially since Tuesday, Thursday classes started at 12:30, I think. So I had 12:30 2 days of the week and then 8 a.m. other 3 days of the week. So that screwed up my sleep schedule so much, which is another thing to keep in mind, to try to make sure that if you are going with a balanced schedule, try to make sure they start around the same time. It doesn't have to be exact, maybe like within 2 hours. But yeah, back to my point. Be realistic. If you know that you wouldn't be able to get yourself up at 7:30 and take a bus or walk to class, or even at 8:30 for like a 9 a.m. class, then don't sign up for them unless you absolutely have to. I personally found my sweet spot of class starting times to be between like 10:30 and 11:30. That way you're not completely tempted to sleep in till like 11 every day. It gets your day started relatively early, and since you probably got a little more sleep, your brain is more fully awake to do well in class and to work throughout the day. So take from that what you will and try to build your best daily schedule based on it. Another quick thing to keep in mind, which shouldn't really be a deal breaker in any way, that may be more convenient for you, is the location of the classes. So what I'm saying is that if you need to have a morning class and you have one after that, check the locations for both of them, see which one is closer to wherever you're living, and maybe make that one the morning class and then the other one the one after that if possible. That way it's just less stress for you in the morning to get up and get to class. That's like a 20-30 minute walk away, and just prevent any possible tardies or anything like that. Also, I have to address optional classes. I know a lot of you are probably going to be looking for classes that don't require attendance, and I completely get that. I did that too, but I do have mixed emotions on them. On one hand, it is really nice to just not be able to go to class whenever you want and do something else with your time. But on the other hand, I've noticed that whenever I do that, it ends up costing me a lot more time and headache in the future rather than if I just went to class at that time. So I ended up not really skipping class that much. I know a lot of people that did and were still successful, but again, for me, it wasn't really a good idea. So if you're trying to find like all classes that are optional attendance wise, I'd move away from that a little bit. Maybe look for like 1 or 2 that are optional. That would be a pretty good balance, because if you get 4 or 5 that are optional, then in my opinion, that's a recipe for disaster. Alright, now let's walk through a couple of my schedules that I've had in the past, and I'll give you my feedback of if I would have changed anything or if I really liked how everything was laid out. So this one was my first semester schedule, so everything was normal, and that's what I suspected to be next year. And so I had 2 classes on Monday, Wednesday, 3 on Friday, because that one I have on Friday, the outfit, was the required lifetime fitness class at UNC. So it was just 1 day a week for an hour. I think most of them are actually 2 days a week for 50 minutes. Mine was kind of an exception, which was nice, but those shouldn't really be a huge deal. Maybe just take into account that you are going to be tired after that. You might need to go shower or something. I don't know. But that's not the main point. The main point is these 2 classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday were required. And so as much as I hated it, it did get me out up and early. I was able to get a nice breakfast at the dining hall from 9 to 10 in between them. And then I had the rest of the day to pretty much catch up on work or start new work or do other things if work was late, which was not often. I think I always had a club meeting at like 6 on Mondays, so I had plenty of time to do stuff before that. Tuesday, Thursday is when it gets a lot busier. So because it started at 11 and because I was so tired the day before by waking up at 8, this is what I was talking about earlier, I usually got up at like 10:30, and so I just barely made it to class at 11. I tried to get breakfast before that, but it didn't always happen. And then I head to both of these classes, which, keep in mind, Tuesday, Thursday classes are an hour and 15 minutes long, so you do have to pay attention for longer. And so I get through that stretch, usually have a big lunch right after that second one, and then I'd have like an hour, maybe less, gap to catch up on work or do something in the library before I walk to my next class, which is at 3:30. And piece of advice, if you're taking a gen ed class that you don't really have much interest in after the hour of like 3 or 4 p.m., it's not going to be fun. Like, this class was a decent subject, but at the same time it was just like lectures of pretty mundane things, and I could not focus for the life of me. I was getting really sleepy at this point, but I made it through that. And then I have a recitation, which I haven't mentioned yet. Recitations are something that you're usually going to need to schedule that happen either really late in the day or really early, and there's just really no getting around those. You have to kind of suck it up, I guess. So this one went until 5:50 p.m., which was weird in winter. Like, you'd walk out of class in the dark. And yeah, at that point, my Tuesdays were pretty much like completely booked. I only really had a little bit of time at night to do work. Same thing with Thursday, except I had a little bit more time because there was no recitation. And also on Wednesday I did have this extra Comp 116 recitation, and this one really wasn't too bad because I still had that gap, and then I was already on main campus, so I could just go to this one and then continue where I left off before it. So if I could change anything about the schedule, I would probably try to move this class up to 10 a.m. so it didn't screw up my schedule that much. I know it's not like possible, but just hypothetically. I'd also definitely try to move this recitation to either Monday or Wednesday because my Tuesdays just felt so much with that. I'd also try to move this class earlier if possible, but overall, I mean, obviously I'd also try to move this 8 a.m. to like 9 a.m. or even after this at like 11 a.m. That'd be perfect. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the worst schedule in the world. It was a very busy first semester. I still have yet to take above 16 credits after this one where I took 17. Alright, I'll show you my spring 2020 schedule real quick. I don't know why it says spring 19, it was spring 2020, but yeah, this is it. And it looks a lot different because this is the one where I experimented with back-to-back-to-back classes. Also keep in mind, this busy 1 and 2 class was only for half this semester because it's a 1.5 credit class. So pretend we're on that half of the semester. Monday, Wednesday was a very chaotic morning, 3 classes in a row. Pretty much try to get breakfast before the 9:30. Didn't always happen, barely happened actually. And then at like 1:35 it was like you're home free. You can do whatever for the rest of the day. Sort of same thing with the next 2. I took an arts class for my VP Gen Ed. So that class was 2 hours and 45 minutes long. I think it was a stretch. It was an interesting class because it was photography, but it was so hard to keep full attention the whole time. And I made that sacrifice of having all these busy mornings to afternoons because of this Friday. This Friday was so nice. It was just 1 class at 11 a.m. Could get up a bit later, not worrying about having to get up early the next day because it was the weekend. Go to that class, which was a quick 45 minutes, and then my weekend started. And it was pretty much like a 2.5 day weekend, which I would heavily suggest if you have the option to. If I could change anything, I'd probably insert an hour gap in between these because even though I love finishing before 2 p.m., I don't know if that was worth like the grind that was these mornings. But yeah, honestly, it was nice though. It was really nice getting everything done at the same time every day and starting at the same time every day. It really helped with my consistency. Although this one, when it got switched to remote, was a mess. But yeah, alright, hopefully you get a better idea of a couple of example schedules that you could try to build. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this gave you a better idea of everything. And let me know if you have any questions with scheduling, because I know it's a mess, and I know like a lot of the stuff I said is not going to be really possible because of Connect Carolina and classes being filled up. But just that's why I say have backups. That's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what videos you want to see next. And I will see you all later. Peace out.